Hey, Manny.
Hi, Nicholas. It's such a pleasure to get a chat with you for a few minutes.
And for me.
Congratulations on the film Art of Eight Limbs. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it's a martial arts movie, but I would say it's not a martial arts movie like have been made recently. Movies, early Bruce Lee movies, even some Jackie Chan movies, where um, we're not. There are no CGI. There's no effects involved. It is real fighters having real fights, but there's also a very solid plot line under it all. Everything is kind of there's a real reason for the fighting. They don't just fight out of nowhere for no reason. And my character, who is the CIA chief in Bangkok, is kind of driving that story. Where what you find out is that there's a bad actor in Myanmar who has got his hands on some very 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 dangerous substances that could damage a lot of people, and it's the clock is ticking in how fast they're going to be able to get this away from him. And for that, we need a CIA operative who can go undercover and as a Muay Thai fighter, because there's a tournament coming up. And so we at the CIA decide, sorry, I'll just clear my throat.
Yeah, no worries.
We decide what we're going to do is we're going to embed one of our agents into the tournament as a fighter, but he has to be a good enough fighter that it's completely believable. So we get a guy who is a Muay Thai expert, and he joins and he comes over. And so in the story, it's a race against time. I mean, there's a clock ticking, and the bad guys have the stuff, and if it makes the connection to them, it'll cause massive devastation to thousands and thousands, if not millions of people. So those are the stakes. And you've got people back at Langley at the CIA telling me what to do. I'm telling the agent in the field what to do. And meanwhile, things go wrong. And it all boils down to him having to win this one fight at the end to stop the bad guys from winning. So it's kind of old school martial arts film in that regard, which I would like to think, particularly for a younger audience, there might really be it might be refreshing for them to go back to movies where it's not reliant on computer generated images, it's not reliant on kind of fantasy, but it is actual real men, real women fighting each other, and using their skills, just their skills, and their athleticism and their training as fighters. So that's the martial arts aspect of it. And then, as I say, the storyline aspect of it is a completely believable, totally plausible, possibility of something that could really happen. The movie starts by making the announcement that Bashir Assad poisoned thousands of his own people in Syria with this gas, which really happened. We all know that. And so then the what if is, well, what if some of that gas got stolen? And what if some of that gas ended up in the hands of a bad actor? How bad would that be for the world? You could drop it on Chicago, you could drop it anywhere. So that's then the race against time to stop that from happening. So the stakes are very high in a real way, but it's driven by the fights. The fights are a necessary part of getting there. So yeah, so that's kind of the combination, I would say. That's the best way I can think of to describe it.
That's a great way to describe it. And I kind of want to talk about one of your points. You mentioned some of the actors from the 70s, the 80s who really paved the way for these films. And we often say the term like, they don't make them like they used to. And you talked about younger crowd. What benefit do you see in kind of this next generation to be exposed to films like they are being showcased in Tiger style media?
I think it'll remind them that these are real people. I think you know the Marvel universe has created a world which is fantastically wonderful, but it's created a world where actually we don't necessarily have to believe that any of this is true, because we all know that they have $50 million worth of special effects that can kind of make anything happen. It can make anybody do anything. But I think for them to see real people doing these things. I liken it a little bit to why the Olympics are so incredibly popular with people, because you're seeing real athletes really doing this. You can't use CGI to win a swimming race or to win, a bicycle race or weightlift. It's real people. They've put in the years of training. They've put in the years of discipline and of their diet, their whole lifestyle. They've given their entire lives to this art form, this discipline, this sport. And and I would say martial arts is a combination of all three of those things. It is an art form, it's a discipline, and it's a sport. And I've only seen two of the four films, but I'm sure I'm confident in saying that all four of them are the skill level of the fighters is the same in all of them, whether they were filmed in Mexico or in Thailand or America or wherever. That what you and whether they're male female fighters or female fighters, what you're going to see is the very best in the world. And just like I think people in what you love about the Olympics is, I am looking at the greatest athletes on the face of the planet at that particular skill and that particular sport. And I think these films will demonstrate whether it's Muay Thai or whether it's karate or whether it's kickboxing or whatever, whatever form of martial arts it is, or whether it's mixed martial arts. You can be confident that you're watching people who are the best there are. I mean, even the guy who was the fight coordinator on this film, was a champion fighter himself. And to see the respect that all the fighters had for this man, it almost is like a religion, in their dedication to this. And in fact, I said when I was in Thailand, I said, there's Buddhism and there's Muay Thai. And people seem to be, absolutely worship both equally. And so for me, that was completely fascinating. And then I would like to think that the combination of having that skill level from the fighting point of view and then having a really believable storyline, which like in this film is driven by my character, but to have that in each of these movies, I think again for a younger audience who may not be used to have ever seen that, I'm hoping that they'll think, oh, this is really cool. I can believe that. I can believe that that really could happen. You know, I think there's a market for that.
One of the things that I'm always amazed of with this artistry, that you don't see as much anymore, is really that commitment to being an actor and also a martial artist, so that an audience can benefit by seeing these long shots of a fight scene, seeing
Yeah.
sequences put together that where you can tell it's the same. And nothing against stunt actors or people who have to get change in and out, but there's something about watching a continuous shot of a fight scene that just blows you away. Can you talk a little bit about some of that we'll be seeing?
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. And in fact, Ludi, who plays, Chris, the operative, who's there, who is a great fighter himself, we talked about that a lot because he came to me, for acting advice. And of course, I was completely in awe of him as a fighter. But he recognized that I'd had a lot more experience than him as an actor. So, and he wants to be both, and he is both now, and he's doing Mortal Kombat 2 right now. And he recognizes the fact wisely, as does Grace, I might say, the young woman who plays the female lead in it, who's also a champion Muay Thai fighter. They don't want to just be fighters. They want to be actors who can fight well, and they want to be actors who can play any kind of role, but when they're called upon to play, be it a martial arts movie, they can do just what you're saying. You don't have to have a stunt double. You can do that thrilling thing of seeing the actor themselves. I mean, Tom Cruise does that a lot. And, we know some of the things, there's a double in there for him if it's just so insanely dangerous. But a hell of a lot of the stuff in a Tom Cruise movie, he does himself. And that just gives the audience an extra buzz, like if he's falling out of a plane on a parachute, but the camera stays tight on his face, so you see it's Tom the whole way. That's totally cool. We love that. And that's what people like Grace and Ludi want to do. I think they sense, and they're both young actors themselves, they sense that that's the future for this, is not stunt people, is not CGI effects, but you can have a character. I mean, Jean-Claude Van Damme did it way back in the day, and a few of those guys where what was that series called? Was it something Texas Ranger or something where every now and then they would just go straight into a martial arts fight, but it was kind of like without breaking the sequence of the movie and without, and Kung Fu, the television series, same thing. And I think the audiences just love that. I really do. So I'm just hoping. I'm very optimistic that when these four films hit, people are going to say, "That's just a whole new world I didn't know about." I'm
Yeah.
talking about people say under 30.
Yeah, and I'm really hoping it ends up being a kind of a gateway film, set of
Yeah.
films to kind of explore films from the past. Nicholas, thank you so much for your time. I
Thanks,
appreciate
man. My
every
great
second
pleasure. And
speaking with
I
you.
hope everybody enjoys it as much as I enjoyed making it.
That's awesome. I did, and I hope everyone else does. And we
Good.
hope to talk to you again. Thanks.
I hope so soon. Thanks. On the next movie.
Yes.